Good morning, and this is the crypto day morning with today's date coming in that of Saturday, the 8th of December 2018. My name is Derek. I'd like to welcome you to today's video, all bets, trades, and of the like within one's own risk and their own reward. I'll get into Bitcoin in a little bit, but let's just quickly take a look at the stock market and the precious metals. And within the Dow Jones Industrials, after the 2009 lows near 6,000, the market has had a 4x move over the last decade or so. And for the second time since the run, it is having a much sustained correction within the 18, meaning this move in here, not so sustained. But in here, this thing breaks below the 18 average of lows in July of 2015, unable to break out above it until April, so that was more than a half a year. And amongst this thing here, this came down to the 18 average, really at the earlier part of the year, and is continuing to move the sideways action within it. So just like back here, there was a sideways range between 15,000 and this level here, breaking each side a decent move, and we can see when it broke resistance, it had such an event. Looking at the weekly term time frame, we can see that there's big support on the Dow at about a little under 24,000, and the resistance is about close to 27,000, and the choppiness on the daily term time frame definitely there, because since this high, you spark a big move down, have a bear market rally, come back to previous low, lower high, back again to previous low. And even when you look at it on the last 2 days, the Thursday session, it closed back down there, rallied back up to the 18 average of lows, but then is giving it back. So this could be an interesting week as we move into next week, as if this level of support does end up breaking, then we very easily could be seeing some price action moving down to the low 20,000s. Within gold, it has been going sideways mainly for the last 5-6 years, with resistance coming in very heavy at around 1,300 and high change, 13 3/4. Support coming in at 2 layers, one at about 1150, and then again lower than that at 1050. When we see price action again, just really going sideways, having a little bit of low volatile work amongst the 18 average of lows. Amongst the weekly term time frame, however, we can see after this decline come into play, it comes up to this level of resistance, back to the 18 average of lows, spending a couple of days consolidating within the highs very nicely, and then Friday's session breaking past this level of resistance, going back to levels not seen since July of this year. Moving on next to silver, showing a lot of the same similar down and sideways movement as well on its monthly chart, weekly chart, just mainly going sideways, unlike gold, which is showing that nice little bullish sentiment. But the daily chart has a nice interesting setup, as it came up to this 18, back to the lows again, and its rally on Friday managed to see levels not seen since Wednesday of this week, as it almost got up to this previous high. And finally, before cryptos, let's take a look at the dollar index, which is really not doing too much, but it is holding within this 18. I did state right around this 92.5 line that I predicted this year was going to be a down one for such, and it was wrong, but it started off such, but it had that failed breakdown. Oftentimes from failed breakdowns can bring fast moves in the opposite direction. So this is the failed breakdown, quickly goes to the 18 average, now getting above it. Will there be a fast move higher? Maybe, but I'm just showing this. I'm not a big fan of this because it's currencies of fiat value versus other ones, so it's like, meh, whatever kind of deal. And of course, I don't see the fiat currency system surviving too well as we move into the next decade. On to Bitcoin. And on its monthly chart, it's hanging in there, obviously very fine. Weekly time frame is broken down below the 23.6 support level, looking to make its move to that of around 3,000, as I have my target for. We'll see how well my number comes into play. Right now, I would validate it as a large pierce above. On the daily term time frame, leaving that of this 18 average of lows a few days ago, decent size breakdown there. After that, going sideways amongst this 18 average since the lows and at about 1900 hours UTC December the 6th, or 2 days ago. Single hour. Well, I actually want to see this versus a 15 because this tells the story better. As I was stating yesterday, well, we're going to have a failed move on one side. And it really is going to be, no matter what, breaking through one side or another is going to be a relatively decent move. For after a break of the support at 3,300 that managed to take it down to the lows of 3,212, sharply, this market rallied not to the 18 average of highs or around that area, no, not to the previous level of support, not to the previous level of resistance, but a leg higher. So to me, either this breakdown that fell below here would be a failed one, or the breakout is going to be that of a failed one. And it really has to define itself by getting above now the higher level of resistance and this lower level of support. But since that high price action manages to come back down to the 18 average of lows and have a nice little run for a few dozen periods, its chance to break out of this market occurred right here at the 2315 timestamp. For established resistance, this nice higher high in here, successful 18 correction. And when it broke it, it barely broke above it. And after its correctionary move, it never really got going from that 18 average of lows, and it just had very tiny rallies. And after breaking that level of support, basically we have the reversal in trend. Up move at the 18, then it goes sideways in here, now it's starting to go down. We've been resisting this on its first resistance test, which started right around here, around the 5 period, and then leaving it at the 7 period. So 2 hours having that correctionary move, and then a decent leg lower from here. So now we got this 18 average. Short term, I'm going to be very iffy around this 3380 level. And then, of course, breaking down below this level of support, which matches this port in here, ironically enough. I would be expecting a fast move at least to this 32. But again, I'm looking for this to go to that of 3,000, and we'll play it from there. And to finish this video off, I'm going to put up XEM, New Economy Movement, on its weekly term time frame. When you see these volatile moves, 429 going up to like 12,000, 30x move, 12,000. I mean, it's just crazy. We had that move again last December. And now after this down move, are we ready for a possible another one? Well, for the first time since January, the price action is now seeing itself above the 18 average on the weekly. Within this decline, we had this nice little rally that pulled back on 4 periods ago and come back to the 18 average of highs. And I like how these three are showing among such. So let's look at this on the daily term. And just a beautiful looking setup. For there's really 2 levels of established resistance, one at 2304, the next one is in at 21.25, which is pretty much where it's lying in at now. But from that move, fast moves. You go 2300, pulled back down to 16 after this big rally. But we can see how well it has held and has been holding so far this 18 average. The rally comes up here on this one, matched the one from in here, the high, successfully correcting it with a matching low, but quickly rallying with a higher high. And then from this session up to here, just beautifully playing amongst this 18 average. And now, as we can see, looking as if it might want to break it out, getting above this level of resistance. Wouldn't surprise me if it even got past the 2291. Still, when you look at the possibilities of these markets, it becomes a major wild card factor, because I realize that if it gets above this, a 4 hours showing strength, that what's the target on the break of this level? Well, maybe it's going to be small and only does like 2,500, 27, which is still a 30% move. But you never know if this thing is real and it breaks out, the extent to the large amount of gains that could come into place. Maybe we come in and we test this previous April Fool's high resistance. That's better than double. And then maybe we find a lower high to the 2 previous hit highs early this year and last year. That would be around maybe 8,000. That would be a 4x move. And then from here at 13,000, that would be about a 6-7x move. And it could do that. And it could even make new highs. For if we do a Fibonacci upside calculation, we'll do a number 14,000 was the low. And then it pulled back to, we'll say 1,400. So a 10x move going down. So we'll put in some numbers, 14,000 and 1,400. And that gives us an up target of 58,000. And I'm not saying that's where we're going. I'm just saying mathematically it wouldn't be a surprise if the event of breaking out above this were to get there. And to get there, 2,000 to 50, that's a 25x move. That's really good. And when I say really good, 10x is good. 5, 6x when everything's going wild, that's okay. And 2x, 3x, that's bad. Overall doubling is always good, but the potential for having markets doing 100, 200, 300, 4x is spectacularly amazing, and that has happened in the past. So that's why I wouldn't be surprised if on the given time that this thing is ready to go. And I think that when Bitcoin is ready to go and start the resumption of the bull market, that we will see a good move like this amongst a lot of these altcoins. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.